This is the Logitech G27 racing setup. It is one of the best setups I've ever used for car racing games. Logitech just excel above everybody else when they come to making wheels, gear shifters, and pedals. They are all three fantastic pieces of equipment. Now, Logitech has a whole range of these. This is the G27, there's the G29. There's different variations depending on whether you're playing on PC or console. But fundamentally, inside all of these, the parts are pretty much identical. It just comes down to how you're going to be plugging them into your system. Now, the wheel, I'll start with the wheel. It has the most amazing force feedback motors inside. So you can change the strength of the spring and change the realism of the wheel. So you can make it really, really hard to turn. Depending on what sort of car you're driving, it will change itself in its setup. If you can't handle such a hard wheel to turn, you can turn those down or change the strength of the spring. So don't worry, you won't buy this and then find that you can't turn it or your arms are getting too tired. But if you want that ultra realism when playing racing games, you can make this feel just like a real car, even down to when you're bumping into other cars or cars are bumping into you and you're hitting walls and that sort of thing. This will shake and rattle and roll, and it will emulate every part of driving a car. It is absolutely fantastic. I cannot stress that enough. Now on the front here we have 6 buttons that you can assign to different things depending what you're playing and what you might need it for, entering options menus and those sorts of things. So you don't need to take your hands away from the wheel when you're playing, but you might need to choose a couple of things in a menu. And then behind we have paddle shifting. So if you're driving a performance car in a game that has paddle shifting, that's a bit more realism for you, which is really cool. And then to attach it to your desk, if you look underneath, we have these J hooks. So this part sits flush on your desk, and then, or there are other seats and setups that you can attach it to, but I just stick it on the edge of my desk. And then this part here is connected to these knobs on top. So you twist these to tighten the J hook and then click them down into place to get rid of them. Now, if you don't want to use the paddle shifters, there is, of course, the regular shifter here. And this is a 6-speed shifter. So when you first get it out of the box, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions. But the games that I play only have 4 gears for the majority of them. Old school games like Daytona and Sega Rally, that's what I like playing. So I opened this up and removed a pin, and that means now I can go to 4 corners instead of 6 and having to decide whether to play on this side or on this side. I can just have 4 gears now, and that pin can be put back in easily if I want to go back to games that require 6 gears. Again, this uses the same sort of J setup where you tighten this up to attach it to your desk, and then you click those into place. There are some extra buttons here in front of you, which are very easy to access when you're holding the gear stick, and these can be assigned to all manner of things again, depending on what game you are playing. Very cool. Great gear stick. And then finally, we have the pedals. Now these are some of the best pedals that I've ever used in racing games. They are super sensitive, super responsive, and using the Logitech software, you can alter the sensitivity of each of these, as well as hardware. Inside each of these red tubes are springs. So the accelerator pedal is quite light, but still feels very realistic. Then the clutch pedal is a little bit harder, and the brake pedal is super hard. But there are different springs you can get and swap these out if you need to be stronger or weaker, depending on what your style of driving is. You can also change the position of these pedals. So each pedal has 3 positions. So these are all in the center at the moment, but they can each be moved left or right, depending on where you want the pedals to be. So the gear stick and the pedals have their own cables that then plug into the main unit, which is the back of the wheel, and then that has a cable that goes out to your either PC or your console. But something that I've recently gotten onto is using the pedals completely independently of the other two. And to do that, you do need to buy an extra cable. And that cable looks like this. So you have this 9-pin plug coming out of the back of the pedals, and then that plugs into here and gives you a USB cable that can then plug into your PC or your console, and you can use the pedals independently. So what would you use the pedals for independently, you might ask? Well, I use this for all sorts of things. I play first-person shooters with the pedals. I figured my feet weren't getting used, so now I use, say, the accelerator pedal. I use pushed in slightly will make me crouch, pushed in more will make me lay down or prone. I use another pedal to change weapons or to do certain functions. Different games, I use them for different things. I'll also use these when I'm doing video editing or photo editing, when I have to do a lot of repetitive movements. It's really cool to be able to set this up as, say, copy and paste or different features that you might find in a video editing program. Really, really handy. Something that a lot of people don't think about, but your feet are sitting there doing nothing. So it's really cool to be able to use them for different processes. But yeah, I digress. If you're getting into racing, you cannot go wrong with Logitech setup. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it, and I think you will too. You shouldn't be disappointed. Enjoy.